This month we have themed about support, and my guest this week is on a journey to support millions of ADHDers. Millions. And I have no doubt she'll do it. She's awesome. She's Brooke Schnittman. Let's go talk to her. You are listening to ADHD Big Brother, the podcast for adults struggling with their ADHD, their comorbid depression, their anxiety. Oh, it's just a hoot. I'm your host and your ADHD Big Brother, Rush Jones. I've got ADHD too. I've got depression as well. It's crap-tastic. So let's learn some stuff. Let's laugh at some stuff. Let's make some commitments to do some stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, here's some stuff. Welcome to the podcast. I am having some cool conversations this month. So let's get the up top stuff out of the way. So let's just get this up top stuff out of the way. The mental health report. Bam bam. Mental health report. Schwank. I don't know. It kind of feels like it needs a theme song. This is where we talk about our skull spaghetti. It's the good, the bad, the weird. You know, we're not always fine. Am I right? You know, we're always like, oh, I'm good. I don't really want to talk about myself right now. Let's just talk about you. No, you know what? Let's talk about me. Let's talk about the me's of the world. Let's normalize it. Okay, how am I doing, you ask? I'm having a few more Plan B days than Plan A days. I'm just not as juiced, except when I'm around other people, I find. Like when I had the conversation with Brooke that you're about to hear, totally juiced up. When I'm around my kids, when Emily and I are hanging out, always uplifting, that's always good. But it's like in the quietude, I'm finding things a little bit more mentally difficult. It's just a big pain in the ass. Do you ever have that? It's when I'm left to my own devices, right? Like things, they want to really go off the rails. It's very helpful to have the ADHD Big Brother community because of this. It's like we have a subgroup for sober buddies in there, and that's been super helpful. It's just so interesting to me that the connection always seems to be the order of the day, and yet it's isolation is the only appetizing option. Like, what is the deal with that? So anyway, that's your mental health report. How are you doing? It's not rhetorical. I'm sitting at my computer and I'm waiting for your answer. There's a lot of you guys listening, and I want to hear from all of you. Thank you very much. And this concludes my report. All right, now let's get to the juicy stuff. I had such a fun conversation with Brooke Schnittman. So if you're new to Brooke, hear this. Brooke Schnittman is an esteemed expert in the field of ADHD management and support, renowned for her unwavering dedication to empowering individuals with ADHD to overcome challenges and achieve their full potential. That's pretty awesome. Let us continue. At Coaching with Brooke, Brooke and her team offer tailored coaching programs and strategies that encompass various aspects of life affected by ADHD. We're talking time management, organization, emotional regulation, self-advocacy. Her holistic approach has transformed the lives of countless individuals, equipping them with the necessary skills to thrive in both personal and professional realms. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is pretty Brooke-tastic. Recognized for her outstanding contributions, Brooke has received numerous prestigious awards and accolades. Her exceptional coaching skills and ADHD coach training program, 3C Activation, has earned her recognition as the best life coach of Boca Raton, Florida in 2022, 2023, 2024, and Best of Florida for College and Career Planning in 2023 and 2024. She's been featured in prominent media outlets, including Forbes, Success, Entrepreneur, Attitude Magazine, CBS, NBC5. You know, do we really? Can we just say that she knows some stuff? She knows things. We should listen to these things. I'll link to her entire About Me page in the show notes. I barely read half of it. Yeah, there's more. She was super fun to talk to, and I wanted to learn about her 3C activation, and we ended up, as things tend to happen, right? We got into talking about bullying, and it was really eye-opening and informative. So let's just do this already. Shall we? Here's my conversation with Brooke Schnittman, already in progress. What was the start of it all for you?
So a little bit about me is you had mentioned the bullying piece before we got on the recording. I was bullied from ages 8 to 35, and I know I don't want to really I could spend hours talking about how,
Each
why.
individual bullying episode. Let's
Correct.
go.
Correct. Yeah. So
Relive all the trauma.
relive it.
We're going to get into it today.
No, yeah. And it's funny because my dad owned a school and a
Oh,
camp growing up, like one of the biggest ones on Long Island. My mom was a math teacher, high school math teacher. So I had education in my DNA.
hmm.
And automatically, I said, I'm going to be a teacher when I grow up.
Okay.
But I didn't want to be a high school teacher because I was intimidated based on
Ugh.
my bullying experience. I'm like,
High
oh, I
schoolers
can't.
are awful in general, right?
Yeah, I can't go back there. I can't go to middle school, so I'm just going to go for elementary education.
Oh,
So I did. And then what I noticed is when I was there was one special education class and something clicked for me. I'm like, this seems interesting. I want to learn more about it. So, not knowing I had ADHD at the time, I jumped right into my master's, literally started my master's program right after I graduated. Got my master's from NYU in students with disabilities and spent a year in that, immersing myself in students with disabilities. Did a sixth grade student teaching experience in a learning disabled and ADHD school on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And then the day after I graduated, I started a leave replacement job as a special education teacher. And I was doing fourth and fifth grade. What I
wow.
didn't know at the time is that that was going to cycle up to sixth grade, which is what I didn't think I wanted. But I
Okay.
loved sixth grade. Somehow being immersed in the school system as a teacher, not as quote unquote the victim, right,
Okay.
was very different for me because it was rewarding. I could give back to the students that are hurting, right? And so I connected on that level with students. I also, growing up, had an auditory processing disorder. I got extended time and reading services. I had speech services. So I had a 504 and related service plan. And then I was a special education teacher for about, I don't even remember at this point, 8 years, 9 years. And then I became an assistant director of special education, thinking the logical next step is just to move up into administration, right?
Okay.
Make a greater impact. But what I didn't know at the time is that I wouldn't be using my strengths. In fact, I was sitting in the background, talking to parents about what their student wasn't getting rather than what they were getting, right? There was a lot
Hmm.
of red tape from up above in, Washington, D.C., right? So there were things that I couldn't do that I was doing in the classroom, and I didn't have the control to help these parents and
Yeah.
families. So I got to, just deterred from the position. I resigned and gave up the golden handcuffs of tenure,
Okay.
of, a pension. I came to Florida and I said, I want to do something more with neurodiverse population, but I didn't know what. So, of course, I jumped right back into the same type of job in Florida
Oh
because I was like,
no.
I don't know what I want to do with my life. And this
This is
position's available. So let me
oh
just do this.
yeah. Oh man.
That was not a good idea. But what it did do was it got me in front of the right people. And one of my friends said to me, you really need to do this thing. I didn't know what this thing was.
Hmm.
And so I just attended a seminar and I signed up for the thing, and it was life coaching. It wasn't
Okay.
ADHD specific, but I was in a big group. And I know we talked about groups on the podcast when you came and joined me, and it changed my life. I'm not going to mention the name of the group because I don't, it's kind of culty. But but what
We
I
all
will
had to wear
say,
the same tennis shoes and
correct. No, there's a lot of stuff I didn't agree with, but it did change my
yeah.
life for the best because I learned, who I was for the first time, how I was showing up to myself, how I was showing up
Oh,
to
cool.
others. And of course, my rejection sensitivity, I was like, oh, everyone hates me. They're talking about me when I leave the room. But like, that wasn't the thing. So I was like, wait a second. Am I telling myself a story or are these are facts? I
Yeah.
went back to the trauma. I was able to execute things for the first time over long periods of time with accountability and a plan, which I know you do in your groups as well.
Hmm.
But I didn't know that was life coaching. So as I'm going through this life coaching journey, I met another person who was an ADHD coach in Boca Raton, Lynn Minor Rosen. And she's like, you need to get out of your current position because she saw how upset I was. I said, okay, great. What is it that you do? Tell me. And she said, I'm an ADHD coach. She and I shared a similar background in special
Hmm.
education in New York. And you need to sign up for this program and, become an ADHD coach. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know what this thing is, but sign me up. Get me out of here.
What's the
Right.
acronym again? ADHD? Is that? That
No,
is
I knew
awesome.
what ADHD was. I
I know,
didn't
I know.
know what coaching was because I still didn't
Yeah.
know what life coach. I didn't realize I was getting life coached. So I did this program. I'm like, oh, it's what I'm immersed in right now as life coaching, but also like the ADHD end of things. I was doing it as a special education teacher as an executive function coach. So I took a student coaching ADHD program. So I said, oh, I've been doing this forever. So that immediately gave me the motivation and the courage to just jump in, which I did.
Wow.
And then I moved into adults. But 6 months into my ADHD coaching journey as an ADHD coach, I learned that I too had ADHD.
Wow. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
The idea of uh like this servitude to people. This is how I resonate with a lot of this is that the servitude happens and then there's the I'm actually helping people in a way that works for me. And therefore, is that kind of like your experience? And you're like, and
Yes.
th there's
Yes.
a special thing for
Yes.
this. That's so
Yes.
funny. Yeah.
And 100%. So I thought I was going to become a special education teacher
Hmm.
because of, helping people like me, but I didn't realize I had ADHD at the time. And also, the bullying and the trauma. But what I didn't know is that once I became an ADHD coach and further in the teaching, that yes, I was helping people like myself because they had ADHD. So I passed that test with flying colors. And then I met my non diagnosed ADHD husband and his two non diagnosed kids at the time. And we're one big neurodivergent family. And we have a 3.5-year-old toddler who has 100%
You're like, who's
hyperactive
a
ADHD.
normie? And this normie kid's
She's
gonna be like,
totally normal. She's neurotypical, guys. I don't know where she came from.
some
No,
alien
she's not.
spaceship.
She's definitely not.
That's so funny.
She's the best, but she is definitely neurodivergent as well. So I found my people, and my dad actually used to make fun of me when I was single. He would say, "Why is it that you always go for men with ADHD?" Because I would explain the symptoms, and I knew what ADHD was, and they all had ADHD, but I didn't realize that it was because I gravitated towards that because I had it too.
Yeah. Oh man. We get each other, man. That's so great. I love that. Uh,
Yeah.
so how in starting your coaching, like I'm literally looking at your website right now, and you help in all the different ways, even to the point of helping ADHD coaches,
Yes.
which I think is so rad.
Yes.
What was the that particular journey? So now you're coaching
Yeah. Yeah.
ADHDers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first started out, I'm not one of those people who go all like I go all in, but I don't over leverage. That's not who I
Mm.
am in as far as, spending a ton of money and doing everything for everyone, right? Like I start
Oh.
small, right? So that was my journey. I started small. I started working one-on-one with
Mhm.
students. Then I moved into adults and students. Then I maxed out in what the capacity was. So I started in 2018, the ADHD coaching business. Um, and then I brought on another coach,
Mhm.
because I had too many clients. Then I started group coaching because
Mhm.
one of my adults with ADHD said, I really love this one-on-one coaching thing, but I would love to learn from other people
Mm.
what they're experiencing, how they've overcome certain things.
Yeah.
So the teacher in me loves to create. So I said, okay. So I did a beta group with the adults that I had in the moment. It was free. And I knew what they were experiencing and the themes that they had going on. So I created lessons and
Cool.
each it was every other week at the time. So I created a lesson based on the theme and we did some group coaching. I read a whole book on group coaching overnight, right? At the library. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
great. Now I know what group coaching is.
Yeah.
And I created lessons and they loved it so much that they were like, let's do it again. So I did another 6 sessions. So then it was a total of 12 sessions. So obviously it's evolved a lot in the 7 years I've been coaching, but that's how I started the group coaching 3C activation program. Um, and then, I brought on more coaches and more coaches and more coaches and more coaches. And it's because, I capped out, but my vision is to help 10 million people with ADHD
What?
in the next 5 years. Yeah. It started with
Wow.
10,000, then it went to 1 million, and now it's 10 million. Yeah.
Wow. That's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, as I was doing the 3C activation program, and at that time it was only for adults, what I would hear from clients was, this is so great. Like, I want to use this in my dietitian practice, or I want to be able to use this for my coaching. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I got like bombarded with, you need to start more of these groups in other countries where other
Yeah.
people are coaching it. So after hearing it over and over again, I'm like, okay, let me look at this vision of mine. And the only way to be able to successfully impact 10 million ADHDers is to coach and train other coaches so they
Yeah.
can use the process with their clients as well. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
You know what? I have a question for that, but hold on real quick. I forgot to silence my phone.
Oh,
And it has like a doot 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 doot. And once
oh,
my kids start
fun.
texting, it's like doot 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 doot
Game
doot.
over.
Yeah, it's over and
Game
over and over again.
over.
I have a
Yeah.
question about I want to find out more about the 3C activation, obviously.
Yeah.
However, you just said a number 10 million, and that is boggling my mind. And but the question I have about that is it's clearly obviously going to happen for you. I mean, you have a huge Instagram following. If that's it's amazing. However, how does somebody who went through decades of bullying, how does that person handle the god awful suckitude of social media? How do you handle the unhinged and the bullying that you have to be getting, the trolls that are
Oh,
coming
yeah.
after you?
Oh, yeah.
Can you
Okay.
speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just had a response in my body when you mentioned trolls and Instagram and the unhinged. Yes, that is very real. And you can see that my bullying trauma has not been cured, and I don't think it ever will be. So, yes, I have major RSD when people say things that hit me a certain way. In fact, I had an ADHD coach
Oh my
randomly
God.
message me. I'm not going to mention the person's name, but it was a very bizarre message like, you're trying to steal my clients. There, I followed you. I'm like, what? And he's like, I do not approve. So I messaged the person back
Oh
and I
my
said, I'm
God.
boggling my mind trying to figure out what you're referring to, but the person never responded. So that took up space and energy in my mind for a couple days,
Way too long, right?
way too
Way too
long. And it's
long.
still
Oh,
there, kind of. But
dude.
when I try to separate the fact versus the story, I think to myself, I have no idea what he's talking about. I
Hmm.
don't know who this person is as a coach. And three, like, the person's not giving me an answer. So maybe they
Yeah.
don't know, it must be them, not me. And that's so simple to say, But yeah, there are messages that get through. But what I will say is that I do outsource my social media. So I have an assistant who creates the graphics and schedules the posts. So I don't have to, like Andrew Huberman talks about posting and ghosting. I love that. So let's say you don't have an assistant, but my assistant does this. She puts it on the platform
Hmm.
Plannable and then it posts to all the platforms. So she doesn't have to actually like press it on
Yeah.
all the platforms at the right time. But let's say you are a solopreneur or whatever, and you're doing that, you post it and then you walk away. You do not look at the comments right away or like how many people are liking it because of course you're going to ultimately want to
Ugh.
take that down and spend way too much time obsessing over the like count and the shares and all of that. So that's number one. I recommend posting and
Mhm.
ghosting. And then also outsourcing some of the commenting. So I have my team in the comments, doing the general commenting. And if there is a comment that's really nasty, I don't see it right away. They might delete it or respond on their own because my goal is to help people with ADHD. If I spent the majority of my
Yeah.
time trying to manage trolls on Instagram, or that's our biggest platform, that wouldn't be helping my community. That would be hurting the community because they wouldn't have more of me. They would just have that, like me
Yeah,
trying to
I
manage my own
totally get it.
emotions.
Yeah, and you'd be spending time with the people that don't deserve your time, right?
Correct.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, that resonates. I am a fellow RSD sufferer. I can barely handle. Just the other day, I was just trying to clean up my newsletter, and I saw a spam complaint. One spam complaint,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
and it was,
No.
and all that is a spam complaint. It's
Yep.
But I was like, oh, my messages are awful and unwanted and unseemly or something. And it's of all the, like, I have a couple of thousand people in my newsletter. It's big for me, small for others, but it's like there's people that are getting value out of it. So one person spams complains, and I'm like, oh,
And think about how many people you put on spam. I don't know about you, but I hate like unsubscribing. So sometimes I just get an email and I'm like spam, 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 not even looking. So
right. I really I go out of my way to be like, if I click unsubscribe to anybody, I go to, like, it's not you, it's me. Hey man, I love what you're doing. It's me. I'm like
that's really nice of
trying to
you.
Jesus this thing and do unto others because I
Yeah,
really
you hate
fucking
that
hate
feeling.
it. Oh God, it's awful. And that's why
I
I'm
know,
like, I don't know how you would handle Instagram at that
well,
level.
I know how you feel because in on my email list too, I was at a point managing that too. All of
Yeah.
those complaints would go to Brooke at Coaching with Brooke. And I said
Oh
to my
God.
assistant, yeah, I said to my assistant, these are going to go to you now.
Make it go away. That
Make it
is
go
great.
away. And if there's something that you really feel I need to see, you send it my way. But I'm sure I'm
That's
not
a
alone in that delegating power because there's people way bigger than me that there's no way they can manage their inbox and the complaints, even from a neurotypical.
that's really cool. You're giving yourself a bubble to protect
Yes,
yourself.
that's what it is. And even on social media, you can see everything for the most part are carousels. And if there is a video clip, it's of my podcast and it'll
Hmm.
be a clip from there or someone else's podcast because I don't like for this rejection sensitivity. I don't like staring at a camera and teaching what is in my face. No one, of course it does go to
Yeah.
a lot of people, but I look at myself afterwards and I'm like, oh my god, I can't yeah. So to your point, I have a very hard time doing reels that are not just clips of
Yeah.
podcasts.
Yeah. One of the big things that I'm getting out of this conversation, which is some people probably are gonna be like, "Oh, really?" But it's like you can become really successful, and we're still going through and battling the things. We're still
Mhm.
struggling with aspects of ADHD.
Mhm.
The ADHD doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away.
But our ability to manage uh, perhaps gets better.
Yeah,
Like people that are working with you can learn their way to create a protective bubble around themselves and their way of showing up for themselves. That
exactly.
I think is awesome. And
Yeah, and you
yeah.
have to be emotionally regulated. So if you get triggered by trolls, then your ADHD symptoms are going to get worse. So why am I going to, it's boundaries, right? How am I am not going to be the perfect
Oh,
person. I am going to allow myself that boundary of saying, I don't want to see this unless I have to.
I love that. That's the workaround. And I think so many of us, and I'm guilty of this too, is the idea that we think I should be like a normie or something, or I should be able to just let this stuff uh fall off my shoulders or whatever, as opposed to this bothers me every fucking time. So I'm gonna create something for me that's unique to me that works around this crappy situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, going back to the bullying in school and professionally, like a lot of that, I couldn't just say, okay, go, you're there, I'm here, I'm going to create a bubble, right? It was very real,
Yeah.
right? So I have to deal with humans
Hmm.
when I'm out in the public or my friends, my family, right?
Hmm.
And there's strategies to that. But at this point in my life, I'm grateful and lucky that I get to choose who I'm around.
Yeah, that's rad. I mean, it chokes me up in my heart space. Like the fact that you said to 35, that's oh God, that fucking sucks. Okay, so say somebody out there is yeah, this I can tell this chokes me up, but it's the like let's say somebody else is getting bullied. What do you advise them to do? Like what is the
Yeah,
what book did you read or what
I
thing
didn't.
you white knuckled it?
At the moment I did white knuckle it and it was not great. Clearly the reason why I was bullied till age 35. And thank you for, showing so much empathy around this. I can see it in your face for
Oh
those
God, it's
people who
like
aren't
I
watching.
can't help it. I can't turn it off, Brooke.
Yeah.
I suck people's energy.
Yeah,
Oh
you were an
God.
empath. I can see that. Um, what happened for me after 35, why it stopped? And so people who are listening now and saying I'm being bullied is the biggest thing is the boundary piece. Like
Mm.
knowing that this isn't good for me, I don't need to accept this. So I'm going to choose to leave or I'm going to not, bring this person into my life if you have
Oh
that
yeah.
choice, right? Um if you're in the workplace getting bullied, I got bullied in the workplace, I got bullied in school, I got bullied in college. If you don't have that choice to, set that boundary, it would be meeting with a coach or a therapist and learning phrases of ways that you can stand up for yourself.
Cool.
And leaning in, one thing that I didn't do was lean into the people who really liked me. And like I gravitated towards the bullies. I wanted them to like me instead of just focusing on the people who already liked me.
That is
So,
so interesting to me. The that people pleasy kind of nature of well, these all people like me, so there's nothing to be done. This person hates my guts.
so I need to
I've
fix
I've
it.
work to do there.
Yes.
Right? That's
Yes.
so awful.
That's exactly it. And it's definitely anxious attachment, disorganized attachment. So
Hmm.
I need that acceptance. And but I'll never get that acceptance, right?
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
wasn't smart enough and I didn't have the tools to know that at that time. So I would meet with a professional, whether it be in the school system, whether it be a counselor or a professional outside the school system, coach, therapist that does understand bullying, and does understand how to lean into what feels good for you
Mm.
as a victim, what makes you happy, what lights you up, bring up that confidence, and then also have wording for, comebacks or
Mm.
for one-liners because we often have to stand up to the bully, right?
Yep.
And so someone actually who I really like on social media is Jefferson Fisher.
Hmm.
He's a lawyer. He does car talks, and I think he has over 3 million followers at this point. But
Wow.
he just gives quick one-liners and comebacks to bullies or to people who are taking advantage of you. And I've used some of those and shared some of those with my clients, and they're really powerful. So in the therapy that I've done, I've always said to my therapist, I wish I had like a one-liner that I could say to this person, right? Because I just like
Yeah.
my processing was slow. I would go into freeze fight mode. So I just like didn't know what to say in the moment. So if you can have those one-liners ahead of time and practice it over and over again, of course each situation is going to be different, but have those things, those one-liners that you can lean into and become automatic, it might be easier to
Yeah.
dissolve the situation too.
That's cool. Yeah. God, that makes me think back to I had a job, the one before this. I was getting trained by this guy, and I asked him a question while he was in the middle of, it was at UPS, so it was like dealing with a high urgency. Everything's important in the moment, right?
Sure.
And I was asking a question. He's like, "Get with Pam," and I was standing behind him, and I was like, "Oh, okay," and I was like, "Oh, but he has the answer," so I'll just like, "Oh, but I really just if I just had," and I asked the question again. He's like, "Get with Pam," and it was so loud and angry that I was like, oh God, he wants me dead. And I
Yeah.
like it was that level of hatred. And it took me a couple days. I avoided him for
Yeah.
a couple of days because I was like, what did I do wrong? And I
Yeah.
tried to CBT it all, like, well, he was probably busy and you probably interrupted him. And what's the reframe for that? And it's like, it doesn't fucking matter. He hates me.
Right. You're emotional in the
Yeah,
moment. Yeah. Your
totally.
logical brain turns off when you're
Yeah.
emotional.
Oh,
I
for
think,
real.
and I know it's easier said than done because RSD, we can feel it like a month later, a year later. Like I
Oh,
was going
yeah. Yeah.
through my bullying journey with a business coach of mine, and she said, what's different about your journey compared to other bullying that I've heard is that you remember the names, you remember the dates, you remember what was going on around you, you remember everything
Wow.
about each individual situation up until this day of 41. Um, so what I meant to say before I went off on my tangent is that um, Dr. Hallowell talks a lot about getting the right questions asked to you
Mm.
so you can process situations too. You might not be able to process the situation when you feel those strong emotions, but when you take a breath and you step away from it and come back, asking those questions to get out of your own way to get to the, what the situation is, then so you can take action is really helpful. Also, asking people that you trust for their opinions. I know
Mhm.
generally we want to form our own opinions, but yeah, I mean with
Yeah.
ADHD, it's very helpful when we can get feedback, positive feedback from people that we trust and value their opinions.
Yeah. I'm down with that. I have like a core four that I have specifically for like depression, where I'm
Yeah,
like, I just need to talk. And sometimes it's about just you need to get it off your chest,
right.
knowing full well that everything feels true and real. Like this person hates me and they want to murder me. That feels real. So I'm just going to regurgitate that. You're going to show me that through your response. You're going to show me what I already know, which is that it's bullshit and it's not real, but it's not fun, but it's like nice to sit in that new reality with another human being, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I
I really
think
like that.
so often all we need is to be heard and listened to
Yeah.
and feel validated. And I was told that recent surveys show even in therapy that that's the biggest takeaway for a lot of clients and patients is that they're just being heard and validated with a
Yeah.
non-biased party.
Totally. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Um, We haven't talked about 3C activation yet, and I'm dying to hear it, particularly as a coach. But I'm like, these are all like, I'm gesturing to all the ADHD people listening. They all want to know
Big hands.
what's big ass. You have three entire C's of activation.
I do. I
Can we
do.
have all three of them, or are you going to be like, here's the first one?
No, I will give you all threes. All
Yeah.
three C's. So it stands for control, consistency, and confidence. So when
Oh,
people usually show up for coaching, they're in survival mode, right? Their brain
yeah.
is shut down. They have tons of chaos and they have a hard time knowing where to start. If you look at the ADHD disruption spiral that I put in my book, Activate Your ADHD Potential, which also people talk about it, like, the burnout spiral. People are overwhelmed and they're shut down. So for 3C activation, what I want them to do is let go of a lot of the negative habits while learning about themselves and slowing down. So, and taking 1% action at the same time. So it's like a three
Mm.
step first part. It's like slow down the negative thoughts and actions and habits while taking care of your hierarchy of needs and also doing 1% action towards something that's going to move the needle.
I love that.
Then learn about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What do you value? Is your intrinsic motivation? Evaluating the areas of your life. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? After we start gaining some control of the chaos of your ADHD brain, then we have more space, right? We think of a cup that is totally, overflowing, right? You have no room. Now we're going to empty that a little bit so there's room for us to move forward and learn, right?
Mhm.
So then we learn strategies to manage the chaos of the ADHD. So, productivity, organization, how to use a schedule to work for your brain, not for a neurotypical brain, how to gain consistency in the persistency. So we know that energy levels are different every day, but you
Mhm.
can show up for yourself. So, with ADHD, we have an all or nothing mentality. If we don't do it X, then we're not going to do it at all. And then we feel worse. And then we get emotionally dysregulated. And then we have rejection sensitivity. And then we compare ourselves to other people. Then we shut down. Then we burn out. Then we're underwhelmed, right? And then we're like, oh, damn it.
Wow.
I need to
Yeah.
come up with a new exciting idea just to get that dopamine back, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh. Yeah.
we're trying to avoid that spiral by creating these 1% actions week after week. And in this second module of consistency, it's gaining persistency in your consistency. So we're teaching time tracking, time sucks, productivity organization, how to clear the chaos from your brain and your space. And then the goal is in this group that you're going to be seen, you're going to be heard, you're going to be practicing these tools, you're going to be showing up for yourself week after week. So you're going to be building that momentum, which then leads to
Yes.
confidence, right?
Love
And
that.
then
Yeah.
that's the third stage, confidence. So now that you're in a new phase, so week 9, you are going to be met with asking for things that you wouldn't typically ask for. So, like bold requests, having uncomfortable conversations that you've been avoiding. So, we give you the scripts for uncomfortable conversations and using those scripts in AI to help change it for someone with ADHD in a specific situation,
Wow.
because sometimes it's hard to come up with the scripts ourselves. So we get out of our comfort zone at that point because we're finally in a place where we're showing up for ourselves consistently week after week.
That's
So we're
rad.
doing those hard things and taking ourselves to a whole new level that we didn't know we would be at. And then after the 12 weeks, the goal is that you have a toolbox of skills that you can use on days where you fall off or you go on vacation. You're like, oh, where do I start now? Right. Or something changes in your life and you have new goals. So you utilize this 12-step program to push yourself and accelerate forward. I mean, with ADHD, we're lifelong learners, right? And we
Totally.
are growth mindset. So we want to keep growing. And you can use this framework to keep growing
This
over
is
and over again with new
amazing,
goals.
Brooke. Holy crap.
Yeah.
The
And
oh, go ahead. No, sorry.
no, I mean, I use it for myself. one of my lead coaches, she also coaches this program and has coached tons of cohorts. We've had 34 cohorts now, and she gained control of her ADHD, no joke, by learning this program.
God, that's awesome.
Mhm.
There's so many things I want to say about it. But the idea that like people are in the nest and they're getting their wings, and then they go off and I can resonate with this big time. Like you go on a vacation or you go away and the routines are gone, the habits are gone, and I'm a big piece of shit. And you're like, but you're only ever you just go back in the nest, get those tools going, and
Yeah.
I love that.
Start with step one, which is doing your 1%, figuring out what that is, just
Yeah,
taking 1% action. And we use, mind mapping techniques and brainstorming techniques, and looking at the higher ADHD hierarchy of needs that I've created and leaning into that with some questions to decide where to just start. Because it's not
man.
about, right? It's not about like, oh, I need to get to that goal. It's just start and take action. You will eventually get to that goal, or maybe the goal will change, but you
Mhm.
just need to do something.
God, that's awesome. Do you ever find that like I love that the idea that it doesn't make sense to be like, oh, I'm confident and now I'm going to do the things. I'm going to pretend to be confident or have this mindset shift and I'm going to do the thing. I love the idea of we use data points. We use
Yeah,
these 1% activities as data points, and the byproduct of seeing those data points is the confidence.
correct.
Am I on track with that? Yeah,
You're
I
100% on track with that.
totally resonate with that big time. It's the
Yes.
doing of the work that brings the confidence.
It's the
Uh,
doing of the work, which with ADHD, we know it's not a knowledge problem, it's a doing problem.
yeah, yeah.
So if we can do the work with the tools and the accountability and the boundaries, then we will gain confidence. And we're doing it authentically to the way that our brain works because you get that knowledge of your values, your strengths, your intrinsic motivation, how to make decisions in the beginning. So you use that when you're creating goals and following through on your actions.
And you have a book. What's it called?
I do. It's
I
called
thought,
Activate Your ADHD Potential, and it's right behind me. Let's
is this in
see.
there? Is it? There it is. Right
There
on.
it
Oh, you have
is.
a sign that says ADHD Avenue. That's so funny. Um,
Yeah,
the activate is the 3C stuff inside that.
it is.
Okay, so here, this is to my community while you guys are listening. We're doing Ari's book as a book club right now, the ADHD Productivity Manual.
I
Maybe we
love
kick
it.
this one on next.
Yes, please.
Because it's all about the doing of the work. I'm like, how many books have we read? And nobody's fucking doing any of the work. There, it's just,
That's the thing. That's the thing. So with my book, it's very workbooky style,
yeah,
right? So you have to
yes.
do the work. I mean, I'm sorry, but like you're not gonna manage your ADHD by just reading.
I
You're
love that.
not. Like,
I-
yes, it will help you become more aware of things, but you have to do the work. And how do you do the work? Well, you need support and accountability.
You know what? And then, I'm going to beg you to come into our community and say hi to us if we do the book club
Yeah, I would
as
love
a,
that.
as a meet and greet.
I
Um,
would love that.
This is so cool. I am
Yeah.
so glad that we met and we talked. A big part of this podcast to me is is similar to what we just talked about with the book. It's the doing of the work. I could really if nobody ever did anything, I would stop doing my podcast. So I'm like, if I stop giving people things to work on or challenges, then what's the point? I'm just another mouth saying things to do. So what I want to challenge people to do is what is something that you would recommend them doing um, to get started? Like, so get your book and or join your 3C activation program, especially if you're a
Well,
coach. You might be seeing me sooner than later. But what is something that people can do? Give us a challenge.
what I would like everyone to do, which is step one of chapter 4, I believe, of my book, is do a mind map, brain dump, brainstorm, however you want to do it, and get the chaos out of your head and like literally just take the thoughts. What am I thinking? And just jot it down. So if you don't know what a mind map is, look it up. There's lots of virtual mind maps that you can create, but get it out of your head, put it onto paper. And I don't care what it is, but take the smallest thought or action that you have and then find a friend that can hold you accountable or a coach
Yeah.
and do
Accountability
the
buddy.
thing and do the
Yeah.
thing and see how you feel. And then the next day, pick something else. That's where
Wait
you
a
start.
second. It sounds like you're helping me to achieve my goals. It sounds like you're helping me to move my needle forward. You tricked me. This is awesome. Okay, so that's the challenge. We brain dump, we mind map, we pick a small thing on there, and we
The
do it.
smallest thing. It's not doing your laundry, it's putting your clothes into the hamper. That's your 1%.
Yeah, man. I am, side note, I'm a huge fan of the easy point of entry. It's like, what's the smallest activity? What's the smallest step to this task that we're trying to do?
Yep.
As just, it used to feel so remedial to me in the beginning. I felt like I'm an adult. I shouldn't have to open
Do
the
baby
dishwasher.
steps.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But I'm like, man, when I'm struggling, it's not like I use it every time. It's like, but man, when I'm struggling, especially in a depressive episode, holy
Yes.
shit. Just
But
the act of moving is the momentum.
correct. And also, like you said, I'm an adult, blah, blah, blah. You know, those baby steps of like taking care of your hierarchy of needs. So it's a 1% action towards your thing. But I have a 3.5-year-old, and it like dawned on me when she was a baby. She gets food, she gets love, she gets air, she walks. She has it made. And when she's upset about something, she cries, she lets it out,
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't keep it in. Why don't we do that as an adult?
Yeah,
We don't think we deserve it because we're
I
not
know.
productive enough, right?
And we
So
should go
think
back
about
to pooping our pants too. We should go
you're
all the
not
way
cool
back.
unless you poop in your pants.
And then I want somebody else to come and change my underwear and love me and will clean me. Maybe when I'm 80, maybe
When
we
you're
go back.
80. Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
Hold your
that's
breath.
funny. That's so funny.
But yeah, like take care of that too.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming here. This is super enlightening. And I can't wait for this to go out. But I really appreciate you and thank you and I'm glad that you've had 6 years bully free, apparently. Because if you're 41,
Yes.
let's
Yes.
go.
You're really
There's,
good at math.
I don't know, random things will stick.
Yeah.
And then I'll forget what we talked about in literally 5 minutes. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Russ.
Yep, she's awesome. Love that conversation. Shout out to you, Brooke. Definitely check her out. And if you're a coach, you want to level up your game, here you go. Coachingwithbrooke.com. Brooke is with an E. She utilizes the silent E in the word Brooke. It's common. It happens. She has a bashful E in her name. It's no big deal. Why are you making this into a thing? If it wasn't there, she'd be Brooke. And I don't think that sounds right. So it's Brooke with an E. Also, I'll put links to her book, Activate Your ADHD Potential. That's going to go in the show notes. I got it already. I'm getting 3 seed up in this motherfudger. And for all you social media people, she is quite popular on the socials at Coaching with Brooke. Alrighty, guys, please do me a favor. And if you are getting value out of this show, if you're sponging it, if you are sucking the value from it like a vacuum cleaner, I'm happy. Thank you. And that's the point. And I would love it if you would take a few minutes and share the podcast on your social medias. I don't know, do that tag thing where you tag Coaching with Brooke and remind her that she was on my show. And that would be awesome. You can't really tag me because I'm not really there. I won't see it. But you could always email me that you did it. And I could be like, oh, thanks so much. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Okay, that's going to do it. I'm off now to take my kid to registration to get his books. School is about to start again. Can you believe that? Here we go again. All right. Hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I shall talk to you later.